Welcome to Machining Minds, ACE Driven, the podcast where innovation meets opportunity in American manufacturing. This show dives into the people, programs, and powerful ideas reshaping the future of U.S. machining and advanced manufacturing. Whether you're a student, an educator, an industry pro, or just curious about the next wave of high-tech talent, you're in the right place. Each episode, we'll bring you real stories from the shop floor to the classroom, highlighting cutting-edge training, career pathways, and the inspiring individuals driving change across the country. This is Machining Minds, ACE Driven. Let's cut into it.
So welcome to another edition of Machining Minds, ACE Driven. This will be the fifth episode that we've done on our podcast, and quite possibly maybe the best one. So I'm Justin Maples. I'm here at WSU Tech in Wichita, Kansas. I am the ACE program training coordinator for the college. So what I do is I go out and talk to people about ACE. I try to get people interested in ACE, and that's why we're doing this podcast, is so we can have more machinists out there, because that's what we're lacking is machinists. We're lacking people in manufacturing. Today, I've got somebody on here from Spring, Texas, down by Houston, and it's Daniel Robles. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. I'll tell you, I asked him, I said, hey, Daniel, will you send me a bio of some of your accomplishments? And I'm telling you, I got the biggest bio you've ever seen. And he has so many accomplishments that I was not going to try to mess them up on this podcast. So, Daniel, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you well. And you're teeing me up for a home run. I hope I can deliver.
Oh, I know you can. I've been around you.
Yeah, that bio was kind of curated by a mentor when I was speaking at a CTE conference this summer. Somebody put that together that thinks more highly about me than I think about myself. I feel like, but it made me feel special and appreciated when I saw it though. So I was glad I was able to have something to pass along to you. But yeah, I'm down in Spring, Texas, north side of Houston. And I do some of the same stuff that Justin was just sharing with you all about. I get to talk to people about ACE and get people excited about manufacturing and machining, because we do need more people making things in the U.S. and I think in Texas, right? I'm going to be a little bit biased because I live out here now. But
absolutely.
Big manufacturing state. And there's a lot of opportunity for growth of businesses, and also for people to grow themselves and develop their skills and improve the way that they're machining and manufacturing things to be more competitive and to rise above.
That's for sure. You hit the nail on the head right there, to rise above. That's why on each episode I have it where it says Machining Minds ACE Driven, and it says from the shop floor to the top floor. That means it don't matter if you're sweeping the shop floor or if you're managing, you play a role in manufacturing. And that's what I try to instill in these students when I'm teaching them the ACE program, or for the 10 years that I actually taught machining. It don't matter where you're at in manufacturing, whether you're in assembly or whether you're running a mill turn, you're doing something that is very vital to that manufacturing company. So yeah, I like what you said there for sure, people to rise above. So you work for Haas, right?
That's right. Yep. I work for the Haas Factory Outlet out here for South Texas. Is a Haas Factory Outlet, and we cover pretty much about the bottom 2/3 of the state of Texas, including the Houston area and San Antonio and Austin, and have everything from there south down to the border with Mexico and all the way out to El Paso in West Texas.
I got you.
And I'm an applications engineer here. Basically, I get to, and never you say I get to, because I think it's a blessing that I get to help people improve their manufacturing processes and learn how to use their equipment so they can get their projects done and their products made.
I got you. So what got you involved in the ACE program? I mean, I know you're heavily involved in the ACE program. So with you being part of the Haas Factory Outlet, I mean, how did that bring you to ACE?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think it's a good little story behind it. So we're always doing training and recommending customers and schools to training programs, to curriculum, to resources. And It was probably about 3 or 3.5 years ago now, the first time I heard about the ACE program. And I did a little bit of looking into it. It looked like a really promising program that I thought then could help people bridge the gap on some of their skills needs and some other workforce that they're bringing in, and also bridge the gap for students, because there's a lot of machining programs, including some that I've been involved with, where we teach a lot of very deep knowledge, but students sometimes can sort of lose sight of the end goal or the purpose of everything that they're learning. And that's something that they really get to do well through an ACE bootcamp, because they go from start to finish, from programming to machining a part and putting an assembly together, and they're able to kind of see the whole picture in just a handful of days, where otherwise they might be in a program for several years before they get to see everything all the way through, from the manual side, upping material and squaring it up, and then semesters later learning about programming, and semesters later learning about setting up a machine. And I thought it'd be really helpful to be able to connect people with that. And we do a lot of work here at the Haas Factory Outlet with Texas A&M. They use a lot of Haas machines in all of their shops for R&D and for teaching students. And then one really cool program that they have over there is called the MMAD program. It's a manufacturing and mechanical engineering technology, and they make mechanical engineering very hands-on. And yeah, so we have a big connection with Texas A&M and a lot of the work that they do, and we were able to partner with them as the love for Texas in expanding and promoting and teaching the ACE program, and became a spoke of Texas A&M for the Houston area. So we have a training room here. We have a classroom where we teach workshops for programming, sometimes specific workshops for how to run certain types of machines, and we use that training room and that classroom not to teach the ACE bootcamp here. And we've had a lot of very good feedback. It's been very well received, and I think just this last bootcamp that I taught, I believe it was our 22nd bootcamp that we've hosted here at Champions Machine Tools.
That's awesome.
It's been a lot of fun for me, and I can talk more about that in a second. But yeah, it's been awesome to be able to be in a place where you didn't have to worry about a school schedule and or a class schedule, right? And we've been able to really kind of cater to the industry and to people coming up in the industry without them having to go and register for a 2-year program, or wait for a semester, wait for the spring semester to register before you can go start learning the trade. They're able to come and take a boot camp, get started in the industry, or companies will send employees that need to raise their skill level or learn new software, or just kind of become more current with what's new in the industry, and they get a lot out of it as well.
That's awesome. I like hearing that stuff because, I'm very big on wanting to reskill, upskill when it comes to industry. One of our biggest things in machining is, you can train somebody to be a machinist. You can train somebody to set offsets. You can train them to go in there and use all the metrology tools in the world. But you can't train people to show up to work. You can't train people to show up every day and stay engaged every day. So when it comes to upskill, reskill, I tell these companies around Wichita, I'm like, why not take that guy or that gal that's been working there for 18 years and they've never missed a day, but you've got them in, the paint room, or you got them in an assembly, or you've got them in the deburr shop. Why not take them in there and show them how to run a machine or how to set up a machine and become a machinist, and like you're talking, send them through the ACE training. You're not going to become a machinist by going through the ACE training, but most people that I've had go through the ACE training have left there with a pretty good knowledge whether they want to become a machinist or not. So that's one of my biggest things. I'm glad you hit on that. So you train them there at the Haas Factory Outlet. How many of those students then enroll in a 2-year college or in a technical college after they go through your ACE training there at the Factory Outlet?
I really wish I had good traceability on those statistics. I don't. One measurable observation, though, that I can share is there's a lot of engineering students and a lot of people that are maybe on the design side and the engineering side that out of necessity, supply chain issues or availability in the workforce and the companies that are doing the manufacturing, they're needing to either one of two things, make their own prototype, or they're needing to and wanting to reshort the manufacturing of their product. Yeah, lots of engineering students and lots of engineers and designers that have come through and have told me, "Man, I didn't know that making the parts can be so much fun." And one thing that I like to share with people all the time is, running a CNC machine is, if you have any passion for making something and for manufacturing and crafting and building things, running a CNC machine is like doing all that, but you're making a robot make the stuff for you. And it's just where it makes it a lot more exciting and fun. But there's people that have come through and realize, hey, actually, maybe I do want to get involved with manufacturing. Maybe I want to get out of the cubicle and I want to do something more meaningful and productive. And they also see, and I hear from some of these designers and drafters and from engineering students from different universities nearby and colleges that come try out manufacturing with us in an ACE boot camp, is they're becoming aware and hearing more the need for manufacturing in our country and in our industry, and realizing that I think that it's just a supply and demand conversation. There's a lot of people that know how to do CAD, a lot more of them than people that know how to bring the ideas to fruition and actually turn it into something tangible that is a product that you can use and sell, right?
Absolutely.
It's awesome seeing people go through that experience and that realization and seeing the value and the opportunity that they could have in manufacturing and machining, not just on the design side, running CAD like SolidWorks or Fusion and designing things.
Yep.
But actually getting into it and making those things.
Oh, yeah. And it's funny that you bring up engineering students, because last January I had a class with WSU's engineering, actual engineers at WSU, and I'm fixing to teach 8 engineers, about ACE, about how to run a machine, how to build a part, how to program a part, all the way down to putting your air engine together. And I thought, this is something that I've put together myself, is to have these engineers come in here and do this. And the closer I got, the more I was like, man, why did I do this? And I'm going to have 8 people that know way more than I do about anything, and they got in there, and it was almost as satisfying watching those engineers, or it was as satisfying watching the engineers as it was when I had my high school boot camp, because they were excited. They were like, man, not only can I draw this up, or not only can I program this, but man, I get to go out there and run it, on a machine. I get to make a part. And that was something that I don't think any of them had really ever done. And if they had ran the part, somebody else had normally programmed it for them. So that, that's what the satisfying part of ACE is. Not just like you said, not only do you get to build these parts on these machines, but after you build them, you go in there and you go through all the programming and see what it takes to program these parts and then post out the G code. It's very satisfying.
For sure. And nothing against the engineers, right?
No.
If anybody has ever spent any amount of time in a machine shop or in any type of manufacturing company, we know about the rivalry between engineers and machinists, and people make jokes about square holes and sharp corners and all this type of stuff, right? That when you've been on the manufacturing side, you kind of get a perspective and a better understanding of what's actually manufacturable in the way that you don't when you learn about the industry from behind a computer screen. And both sides are needed, right?
Yep.
We need people that can design the products and design the solutions, design the materials. And we also need people that can turn it into something tangible and manufacture all of those parts. Because at the end of the day, the industry is, I think, is financed by producing.
Yes.
Right? We need to be productive, and we need to and it's connected to our economy and bringing jobs domestically, and there's a lot of conversation to be had around that. But it's been like you experienced also. I enjoyed having some of those engineers and engineering students come through, and I got an immense amount of satisfaction out of it and having them join us, because I believe that the best engineers are the ones that understand what it takes to make the products that they're designing.
Yep.
And it's the only way that you can be competitive. And it's really easy to design things in a vacuum, and if you will, where it'll look really good in CAD, and you can 3D print something, 3D print a prototype, and it get it the way it's supposed to. But then when you got to go mass produce that item and make it out of a different kind of material, you got to be able to know what it takes to make it, to manufacture it. And having that experience and being able to design and engineer things from that background of knowing what it takes to design it, it's just the only way to really be a good engineer and a good designer.
I totally agree with that. And, the only thing that I could think of while you were saying, we need programmers and we need machinists and we need engineers, we need assemblers. We have to have machinists for one reason, and that is because engineers need heroes too. One of my coworkers found a shirt that said that and ended up buying it for all the faculty there at WSU Tech one time. So that's kind of a joke that we got going. But no, it's awesome to see the engineers, like you said, they come in there and they get to see the whole part instead of just designing a part or just creating a part. So you do a lot of work with Texas A&M, is that correct?
That's right. Yep, they're a big Haas customer, and they do a really good job. In my opinion, one of the great universities in the country that puts out engineers that know how to do real work, not just theoretical work.
Yeah.
And they've got several, more than I could count. They've got more labs with Haas machines than I've even been able to step foot in myself. There's a lot of them.
Yeah. Well, the best thing that I have in common with Texas A&M is when I went through the ACE program or the ACE training in Knoxville, Tennessee, I actually went through it with Nathan and with Dave. So Dave, he's over IACME now and the lead machinist or whatever, and then Nathan, he's a big time ACE teacher down at Texas A&M, and then I always tell people, I got so excited about that ACE program that my job actually has ACE in the title, so I think that's pretty cool that out of that class, we ended up with 3 people that was teaching machining only, and now all we do is teach the ACE program. So I love the program, and I love my job. I love teaching, but when I got the opportunity to do this job, I jumped on it because I see where ACE is going. I've had people on this podcast from here in Kansas. I've had them from Tennessee. I've had you guys from Texas, you and Nathan Panic. I was sitting there yesterday and I get a message from a guy that I met at H-Tech, and as soon as I saw his name pop up, I knew who it was, and he's from Oregon, and he's asking me, hey, I need to know what to do to become part of ACE. So, of course, I sent all his contact over to Mary Ann and Dave, and that's something that we don't talk about on here a lot is if you're listening to this podcast and you're wanting to be part of ACE and you don't know how to become part of ACE, on every one of these podcasts, my number and my email is right there on the screen the whole time. So email me and I can put you in touch with whoever you need to be in touch with. And if there's not an ACE hub or somebody in your area, there's gonna be. And it may be you, They sent me out to Knoxville, Tennessee to do the training, and I've said it on every podcast. I thought I was going out there just to do a training, and I know how most trainings go, so I wasn't even really excited about it. And when I left there, I come back and I knew it was more than a training. I knew that we had to be teaching this in Wichita. And this was something that, we've got 500 machine shops in the 3-county area that I live in. We're in the air capital of the world. And I mean, every time you look on Indeed or anywhere, they need machinists. They need machinists. And everybody I talk to since I've become part of ACE or since I started going to H-Tech, I see everybody from all around the U.S. Everybody needs machinists. I mean, what's the need for machinists down there in Texas?
It's a lot. I'll comment on that really quick, but I want to say something before I forget. You said that you were coming back, I think, or while you were there at the trainer, you started feeling like it was ACE was more than a training, and you're absolutely right. I think it's a movement. This is more than a training. It's a movement, and it's a movement that is creating awareness about the opportunities that people can have without having to go get a college degree or without having to leave their town, perhaps, because there's a lot of manufacturing in America that people are unaware of, I feel like. And kids can't go into and aspire to be something that they don't know about.
Yep.
Right. So we need to keep the movement going and creating awareness about the ACE boot camps, but also just about the opportunities that they could have in the manufacturing industry, because it's coming back. I think it's becoming, right now we're kind of like at a tipping point of where American manufacturing is again becoming mainstream, and it's not an obscure thing anymore. And people are hungry for opportunities and for careers that are meaningful and fulfilling. And I think ACE is a great way to get started with that. So the on the manufacturing need, we I don't know how many shops there are, machine shops or manufacturing companies in our region here. I do know numbers wise, I believe there's a little bit over 10,000 Haas machines in our region. So there's a lot of shops out there, and I hear from companies every day, and it usually goes something like this: Hey Dan, do you know any machinists looking for work? Do you know any programmers looking for work? Do you know anybody that wants to learn? Hey Dan, do you like your job? You want to come work for us? I hear it week in and week out. Yep. Because there's a lot of need. There's a lot of need, and I'm very happy to and thankful to be able to be part of ACE, the ACE program, helping meet that need, because I'm going to start sounding a little tinfoil hat kind of conversation here. It's a matter of national security for us to be able to manufacture products without even getting into any of the needs that the military or defense contractors may have for our industry, for our economy. Being able to manufacture things in the U.S. and keep those dollars and those jobs on our shores. It's literally, I can't put it any other way. It's a matter of national security, and we need to be able to bring people up into those careers and into those jobs, because if we don't and they're not here, a lot of things go by the wayside. Everything depends on manufacturing. I mean, there's nothing that you could point to me that I can't probably pinpoint at the most 2 degrees of separation from a machinist or from a CNC machine, because everything depends on it. Yep. Food, toys, clothing, transportation, everything, every aspect of our economy depends on manufacturing, and we need to have the people that can support that. And there's a lot of alarming doomsday sounding statistics about jobs in manufacturing and in machining, with the amount of people retiring and an older workforce in those skilled trades. And it gives me goosebumps thinking about it, because it's a nightmare situation waiting to happen if we don't keep this movement moving forward and getting kids into those careers and getting them excited about manufacturing.
Absolutely. And I think that's what the ACE program is put in place to do, because I've said it on every episode. I've said it on every meeting that I've had with a different school or a different industry partner. I was in my upper 20s before I even knew what machining was. And when I learned what machining was, my whole life was able to change, because I went into machining. I used machining as a career, and now I'm teaching machining, or teaching the ACE program. But growing up, everybody knew what that welder done. Everybody knew, what a plumber does or what an electrician does. But nobody knows what machining is. So I sound like a broken record every time I do one of these podcasts, but I can't say it enough. ACE is bringing that to, the high schools. They're bringing it to the community to where people can come to ACE training for free. All right. That's the greatest part of it is it's free. And they can learn what machining is just by going through a 5-day boot camp. And not only do they learn what machining is, but they learn that everything they touch day in, day out, whether it be a toothbrush or a can of soda or whatever, something to do with that was made on a CNC machine. And so that's what I love so much about the ACE training is you don't have to commit 2 years of your life to go to learn how to run a machine or to learn about machining. You simply commit 6 hours to do the online portion, and then you come to the boot camp, and it takes 4 to 5 days out of your life. And there are companies out there right now that are hiring people off the street to come in and run a machine. Well, now that they're seeing these ACE certificates floating around, they're for sure hiring people that's been through ACE training. Do you guys see that in Texas?
We've seen a lot of companies sending new hires, and something that you mentioned earlier, like the guys that they've had in the shop floor in shipping and receiving, but they need more people to run their machines, and they need to run, or they need to fill their second shift or the weekend shift because they have so much demand and not enough people that they're able to kind of short circuit their onboarding and their time that it takes to get somebody up to speed with knowing their manufacturing process and up to speed on the machines and knowing all kinds of intricacies that they need to know about with different types of cutting tools and work holding. That's something, I'll go on a little bit of a tangent there. It's something that I've really enjoyed out of the ACE curriculum, and we haven't talked yet about what I've taught in the past as well, but something that I've seen that I really enjoyed is that's something that we usually take kind of for granted, and it happens sort of passively, but not intentionally when students are learning about work holding and about different types of tool holders, where that's all incredibly important to be able to make good parts, but we kind of just teach it along the way, and it's something that we are able to dedicate sometimes specifically to students to that during the ACE bootcamp. Yeah, to answer your question, we've seen a lot of companies sending in new hires that are interested in operators, that are interested in becoming programmers, the upskilling and reskilling that you were talking about earlier, and they've been able to do two things. One, find out whether that person really is interested in pursuing that next move and improving and growing their skills. And two, just really get them a boost and light a fire underneath them with some excitement, motivation in growing their skills now that they know and they're able to see everything that's possible.
Yep. So it don't matter if you're in Texas, if you're in Kansas, if you're in Tennessee. I hear the same thing with everybody. This is not an accident that ACE is going from Tennessee to the West Coast. I mean, it's not an accident. Like you said, it's going to be a crisis if we don't get the amount of machinists, the amount of people in manufacturing that's needed. Because quite frankly, I mean, we've all seen different manufacturing companies go overseas, and they didn't just go overseas because of this or that. They went over there because they don't have no workers. So hopefully with the ACE program and the things that Haas is doing, we've got Texas A&M, we've got Mississippi State. I mean, if I try to name them all, somebody's going to get mad because I'm going to forget you. But we've got all these people that are big hubs when it comes to the ACE program. And that's what it's going to take is these hubs, getting spokes, and, branching out and getting this out to everybody. You agree, Dean?
Yeah. It's unfortunate that we've, I think, as a, I don't know, culture or society for many years created lots of poor stigmas about manufacturing, about machining.
Yeah.
That for many parts of the country have kind of those careers and those opportunities, right? That people don't get to learn about. And I didn't realize how blessed I was to have the opportunities that I had as a high school kid. I can talk a little bit about that, but I think having access to a short term program like the ACE boot camps that can get people started in the industry, can get people reconnected with the industry. There's been a lot of guys and girls that have come through our boot camps that they went to they did a 9-month certificate program or an associate's program at a college that teaches machining, but they didn't really get connected with the industry enough to pursue a career that they felt was meaningful because of different reasons, maybe a little bit of gatekeeping, maybe just not knowing the opportunities that were out there, and they're able to just really get a boost in their skills and get reconnected with the industry to pursue something greater.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah. I think it hurts all of us, right? Probably when we see or have heard of schools that shut down their machining program or they shut down their welding program and you and I have been, we've been like drinking the Kool-Aid for a while, right? You don't have to try to convince us why it's needed and meaningful. But in places where it didn't have the support or they didn't have the finances or people had the wrong perception of it and started pushing kids to, college as the only option and not looking at other careers that are very, very needed and in high demand. And we talked a little bit about like the supply and demand earlier, right? I've met plenty of machinists and programmers that make more money than most of my friends that are in engineering.
Yeah.
And it's a supply and demand thing. It's they're in demand. They have the skills that are needed by industry, and there's so much need for people that know how to do that. That there's companies that are paying very well for machinists and programmers that can produce.
Absolutely. Yep. That's a fact.
Yeah, it's just supply and demand. I feel compelled to share a little bit about like my experience and how I found machining because I didn't realize how blessed I was to have those opportunities that I did as a teenager, and I really do feel, to me, like machining saved my life because I was I was not a great kid as a teenager, and I'd rather not get into a lot of details with my behavior and my grades when I was a young teen. But there was a time for me in ninth grade in high school when at the time I was messing around with cars a lot and trying to reprogram my own computers on cars and trying to people code out emission sensors and stuff like that when you're doing modifications on cars and tweaking things and taking things out. And I heard about a student club on campus that a teacher was starting a robotics club, and students were going to learn how to program. So I thought I need to be there. I need to learn how to program because I'm at my wits end and trying to teach myself how to reprogram this ECU. So I need somebody to teach me how to program. And I walked into the lab where we were meeting for the robotics team, and I didn't know until that day that there was a machine shop at my high school campus. And I learned that day that you can program machines to make stuff.
Yeah.
And I fell in love. And that was the start of my career path for me. And I'm incredibly thankful for the opportunity that I had. Like I said, I didn't know how blessed I was until I left high school and learned that a lot of those programs in many high schools across the country were shut down or replaced because schools or school districts were prioritizing sending kids to college and AP classes. And those are all good things. They're needed, but we kind of did it I think as a country or as a society, maybe we kind of did it in a harming, self-detrimental way where we handicapped ourselves by offshoring so much manufacturing and discouraging kids from pursuing, the skilled trades and machining and manufacturing. And it feels so good. I'm able to sleep at night much better now, seeing that there's a movement like ACE, and there's more people getting excited about machining and manufacturing and seeing the opportunities that they could have in those careers.
Oh, I agree totally. And people have told their kids for years, hey, you need a 4-year degree, or you need to stay out of manufacturing because it's dirty and nasty and hard work. And I mean, I've seen programmers go to work and come out of work, and it looks like they're not dirty at all. They don't have dirt on them at all. I've seen machinists the same way. So it's not the dirty, nasty, dark shop that everybody thinks it is. Dan, I think we're about to run out of time, buddy, but you got anything else that's pressing?
Man, yeah, I didn't think about asking you how much time we have. And on that the team's meeting will cut us off before we're able to get everything that we could possibly think about. It's great to be able to get together, chat with you, and share experiences. Any opportunity that I get, I love talking to people about the ACE program and getting kids over here and getting them into some careers in manufacturing and machining, because there's so much opportunity with it. And I think that it's a duty for us, right? I think to me, that's the way that I look at it. It's my duty to. We're just being good stewards of our industry if we're able to bring up the next generation and get kids and get more people excited, adults even, if they're transitioning careers. We need to get more people into manufacturing for the sake of our economy, for the sake of our country. And it's a meaningful, very fulfilling calling that I feel like we have and that we're able to give back to. And doing it by teaching these ACE boot camps and getting people excited about machining through an ACE boot camp is, what better way to do it?
Absolutely. And you're right. I mean, you and I could sit here on this call and talk all day long, especially about what machining's done for both of us. I tell you what, I'm going to do a few more episodes, and I'm going to get you back on here is what the deal is. And we're going to nail some more stuff down, because I really don't feel that our conversation is done. And I kind of feel that you feel the same way. So that's...
Oh, yeah. I'll be looking forward to it. Can't wait for us to get together again and share then. I'm sure, if it was 2 weeks or 2 months, we'll have way more stories to tell then.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, they say I'm full of information, or no, they don't. They say I'm full of something. I forget what it is they say, but I can talk and talk and talk. So, man, I appreciate you being on here, and I loved hearing what you had to say. And anybody out there listening that like these podcasts and you're not subscribed to our channel, please subscribe and hit that like button. And every time we put one out, it'll come up, to where you can watch it. And hopefully you guys get something out of it. And if you're listening to it and you're on LinkedIn or whatever, you see my phone number pop up on this podcast, give me a call if you want to be on the podcast, and we'll have you on here and share your experiences too. So I appreciate it, Dan. And for everybody else, have a good one.